With the rapidly changing state of the company seeing an unprecedented talent turnover and product direction almost by the week over the past 2 months in hopes of reversing the recent slide, last Wednesday after reporting the February to April 2002 quarter as the highest grossing in company history in a period that already seems like it happened in a different era with almost all the major drivers of the record quarter either completely out or no longer working on a full-time basis, with Linda McMahon in response to the business decline that started with the brand split and accelerated in May following the name change with the realization that the next quarterly business report is going to look completely different to the final stages of the boom at the start of the year, repeating Vince's statement by saying that they expected to go half a step backwards before going forward with the brand extension idea despite a different situation with high-profile departures at the top of the roster as compared with the planned scenario in March. Commenting on the Steve Austin situation saying that he's currently suspended for unprofessional conduct while still under contract, and as Vince stood in his ruthless aggression speech on the Raw broadcast last Monday singling out Brock Lesnar as the one named to potentially take his place going forward along with the expected boost in business for Rock returning for a full-time run over the summer. With Lesnar now on the way to headline SummerSlam less than 4 months from his TV debut while having the company fully committed to elevating him into a major drawing player, opening Raw to follow up on Kurt Angle's open challenge on SmackDown last Thursday, looking to one-up him by challenging any veteran to a match in the first hint for the eventual Angle vs. Lesnar program that was talked about even before Brock debuted on TV. Bringing out Ric Flair to open Raw with a major match already in the first quarter with Flair vs. Lesnar going 7 minutes to open the show with a 3.2 rating, placing it in a questionable time slot in the traditionally lowest rated segment of the night instead of potentially popping a strong number for the first ever match later in the night. Raw's first hour saw almost no movement past the first quarter to hover around the 4.8 million viewers range, with the company after the viewership struggles of the past week getting positive news on Saturday with a special 3-hour block of WWE programming between 10 to 1 a.m. drawing strong numbers, starting with Velocity drawing its highest rating to date with a 1.2 followed by Confidential built around a recap of The Rock and Mankind's record This Is Your Life segment from September '99 to another joint series high of 1.3 rating, before peaking during the third hour between 12 to 1 a.m. for the Hyped Divas special originally set to be aired in primetime before being shifted to the later time after being pushed on both Raw and SmackDown during the week, resulting in the show despite the time change drawing a massive 1.8 rating for the time slot on TNN. And with WWE programming dominating the night on TV, the company also featured a major event on the same day with the Madison Square Garden return of Hulk Hogan after over a decade, drawing one of the biggest house show crowds of the year with over 13,000 to a massive ovation in his first match back in the Garden since teaming with Roddy Piper against Cena and Flair in the final stages of the previous boom period in March '92. Headlining in a title match against Taker that saw Vince interfering for the finish to continue the build to the eventual Hogan vs. McMahon match, with second from the top on the show seeing Van Dam vs. Guerrero going over 20 minutes in a ladder match in a similar pay-per-view caliber effort to their Raw match last month, with Van Dam vs. Regal closing the first hour with a 3.4 rating followed by Van Dam calling out Lesnar to set up the Van Dam vs. Brock rematch for the Vengeance pay-per-view, with Raw opening the second hour with another major match featuring Chris Benoit's in-ring return in over a year, working his first match back from neck surgery since the three-way title match against Austin and Jericho at the King of the Ring event on June 24, 2001, with JR confirming Benoit being officially medically cleared to return on Friday with him fully healthy to go back to a full-time road schedule outside of doctor advice to avoid taking bumps on the back of the head for the foreseeable future, with Benoit who was also officially traded by McMahon to work full-time on the Raw brand minutes earlier, entering the ring for the first time in over a year at 10:02 p.m. to see the Benoit and Eddie vs. Bubba and Spike tag match going 10 minutes to jump over 600,000 viewers to a 3.7 rating. Raw jumped strong with 1 million viewers from hour to hour on the night to go from 4.6 to over 5.6 million viewers average between 10 to 11 p.m., bumping the second hour to a 500,000 viewers increase over the 5.1 of last Monday on the back of Benoit's return match, NWO segment and main event title match, all leading to strong gains, with Vince McMahon after the announcement of Benoit now being an official Raw performer, making another major announcement to book the Vengeance pay-per-view headliner with Rock vs Undertaker in Rock's first pay-per-view match since WrestleMania 18. Making the point of it as being either a title or non-title match heading into Taker's 2 title defenses coming up over the next week of television on the way to Rock's return on July 11. And after building up the confrontation for the past several weeks, Nash and Michaels came out to confront Big Show for losing, with Nash and Show going face-to-face to tee Show as Nash's first opponent back, with him set to return to the ring over the next week, with him already booked for a house show match next Friday, with Michaels in his corner set to go back on the road almost on a full-time basis for the first time in over 4 years. And after hyping a big announcement, Michaels said that the NWO is an incomplete family, with the other member of it currently sitting at home injured, announcing Triple H as the new member of the NWO to set up a potential Kliq reunion minus Scott Hall for the first time as part of the TV angle, as opposed to their original run behind the scenes after teasing it in a backstage segment at the King of the Ring pay-per-view, bumping Raw over 500,000 viewers to a 3.9 rating just before the main event. Undertaker made his entrance for the main event as early as 10:43 p.m. with almost half an hour left on the show to indicate on the ladder match set to go longer than usual, kicking off at 10:49 with the match after a major hype over the weekend, with the company by already building up the Taker vs Angle title match for next Thursday as a foregone conclusion to take place on July 4th, indirectly setting the stage for a major swerve of Hardy winning the title on short notice, with the match which went over 14 minutes over the full final quarter, along with the 7-minute overrun, seen an unusual situation with conflicting reports on the viewership pattern, with first estimates indicating that the full Raw broadcast on the night drew a 3.4 overall rating, with the major unexpected news coming during the Taker-Hardy match, initially reporting it as massively bombing to drop over 1 million viewers from a 3.9 starting quarter to an all-time record low 3 rating in the overrun, resulting in the unexplainable number being widely reported over the following days to raise questions on all involved, until the correction came in with more reasonable numbers, with the match which saw Taker dominating the first half of it to set up the comeback, matching the hype to first bump Raw to the highest rated quarter of the night 4 rating, followed by the final minutes peaking at a show-high 4.4 rating past 11 p.m., gaining over 800,000 viewers in total, with the match over its final 7 minutes peaking Raw with over 6.3 million viewers, driving the show overall despite the rating dropping to a 4-year low 3.6 to a slight rebound in viewership over the year low of last Monday to jump back to the over 5 million viewers range. And after a gradual build to the match to set it up, Jeff finally came back to lay out Taker with a chair and bump up the crowd, along with a major sell job from JR on Hardy about to win the title, before Taker came back to retain while endorsing Hardy in hopes of elevating him as a singles wrestler going forward, to now officially set up the Angle vs Taker title match for this Thursday, with SmackDown about to face the toughest competition in its history on July 4th.